Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 207 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this April 16th, 2024. How are all you wonderful folks doing today? I'm doing pretty well. The family's doing well too. So thanks for your well wishes. The babies are doing baby things. So they do that, which is nice. So yeah, it's crazy. I hope you all had a chance to review the two latest articles on the website because this is going to be a very long episode, I believe. It's going to be very technical. Okay, it's the only way I know how to explain complex blast physics like this to the masses, like all at once, in a relatively accessible way that's portable. Okay, so that's the whole point of this format. So, you can mow your lawn, you can take your road trip, do whatever. And I hope the info helps and you can listen to this. There's no video component. It's just audio and you can take it in at your leisure. And that is the entire point of the format of this podcast. So I hope it helps you. Okay. Whether you're listening on, your podcast provider like Spotify or iTunes, or if you're listening on YouTube or whatever you're doing, or you're downloading an MP3 from the website because you do that at a public library on a VPN, to stay off the grid. I understand. I definitely understand. Sometimes, you got to wear that tinfoil hat, and I encourage you to still listen to the podcast when you can and when you are able, and you get back to, you get off grid. You got a Faraday cage containing your little iPod Touch. Whatever you need to do to get this information, I am proud of you. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do three things. Okay, first, I'm going to thank you for all the support, and I am going to tell you we just had the 4th anniversary of the launch of the Silencer Sound Standard. That's right. That happened back in March, and it's mid-April, so we should probably talk about that a little bit. It's a huge deal. I don't remember if I mentioned it before in March, but I'll mention it again. Even to repeat myself, I think it's a big deal. It did change the industry. It did, and we did it with your help, which is important. Secondly, what we need to speak about, we need to help you understand the technical behavior of the CAT JL and the CAT MOB, those two silencers from Combat Application Technologies. So we're going to go over the technical performance discussions of those two silencers to follow up the technical publications that were released last week on the website at pewscience.com. Okay, so that's, as is tradition, that's what we do after the week after every publication. We go through a technical deep dive, and there will be two today, so that's a lot. And so finally, the third, I guess, major thing here that we're going to do today on this episode is we are going to address this two new specific technologies that are in those silencers, and they're part of the Skynet technology vectors from CAT. The first you saw the surge bypass, right, in a couple different silencers. So now what we're going to have to go over and have to explain to everyone is the SNIPER2 technology and the DiVerge technology. Okay, those in the JL and the MOB respectively. And there's a lot of technical physics that needs to be explained, and so we'll do our best to do that. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. It sounds like a lot, because it is, but we'll keep on trucking. We're going to give it the old college try, and we're going to see how it goes. So I'm going to do some ads real quick to thank the folks that sponsor this to keep it going. It's impossible to do things like this without help. It's a monumental effort, and so in the name of the game, we will keep doing that. Read some ads, and we're going to dive in. Buckle up, okay? The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Legion Athletics. That's right, because nothing you do, exercise, sports, blast physics, really anything is doing without consistency. And you have to do things all the time if you really want to be an expert at it, don't you? That's right. Legion Athletics can help. They have whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, pretty much, most things you need. They don't have everything, but they have a lot of it. Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. Code word PEW Science to save 20% off of your first order. That's right. And keep using that code if you like. Every time you buy protein or creatine or whatever they have, you keep using that code, and you'll get double loyalty points with every order. So you'll end up saving a net 10% off no matter how many times you've ordered, which is a lot of money, and it adds up over time if you continue to buy supplements. And if you work out all the time, you will. So benefits everybody. The episode is also brought to you by Top Gun Range Houston. They are in the Houston area. So if you're passing through on a business trip or whatever, and you can go shoot some guns, man, they have the largest firearm rental fleet in the whole state of Texas, and you can rent firearms and shoot them on their 15-lane indoor shooting range. That's right. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, machine guns. And now they let you rent silencers. That's right. And they have a lot of the standard PEW Science test sets too, so you can go ahead and take those silencers and the firearms, shoot them on the range, get a feel for them, and then look at the PEW Science data and be like, interesting. It's pretty cool, man. Check them out at topgunrange.com, on Instagram at topgunrange. They're great. Look, go bother them, tell them Jay sent you. Same thing with high-end armament. They've been sponsoring the podcast. They're pretty cool folks. They sell some pretty exotic weaponry. So they're up in Oklahoma. You can check them out on Facebook, High End Arms. You can check them out on Instagram at High End Arms and the other website at highendarms.com. Okay, so lasers, infrared sighting systems, thermals, exotic HK and Knights Armament technologies. Just, you can't find a rare gun. Robert and his crew at High End Arms will probably help you out. Okay, tell them Jay sent you if you are looking for that stuff. Now, one of the big sponsors of this effort is Silencer Shop, largest distributor of silencers in the known universe. And so if you do use them, there are some benefits. They have a kiosk in their Powered by Dealer location, so you can do your fingerprints and photos electronically all in one place. It does cut down on errors generally. It simplifies the silencer purchasing process. It gives you a money-back guarantee. It's pretty good. You don't pay a transfer fee, which is very good. In the old days of NFA, I think a lot of us paid, $100 at least for transfer fees from dealers. It's pretty pro-consumer using Silencer Shop. It's pretty good, pretty easy. It's just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. They've done a lot to expand the space. A lot of silencers are in a lot of hands in no small part due to their infrastructure. So, it helps dealers maintain margin, not have inventory, and it also helps consumers get silencers. So I think that's why they're successful. It's probably they move a lot of stuff, yeah. And finally, this podcast is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. That is the most important sponsor of this effort and one that will continue to do it forever. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we've chosen to sponsor this podcast and continue this podcast. Okay, and run a public research effort. And we continue to do that to push the silencer industry forward, one test program at a time. You can visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest, most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. Okay, PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard, which turned 4 years old last month. Okay, 7 sections. It's the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire world, and it's all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com. Okay, we are not a dealer. We are not a manufacturer. We are not a silencer company. Okay, we do not design, create, sell, distribute silencers. We don't do any of that. You know what we do? We test them and analyze them independently. Okay, we're not affiliated with a dealer. Okay, we're just not. And if you have a question about that, there is a frequently asked questions page on the website. You can go to services and support, hover over that, and you can go down to questions, and it's basically pewscience.com/FAQ. And at the top of that page, since 2020, when we launched this thing, we tell you we do not make, sell, design, or distribute silencers. Okay? So whenever you're looking for silencer performance data and you want to know who the folks are affiliated with that are giving you that information, you might want to do some digging. And I bet you're going to find some stuff that will surprise you when you do. Okay? Trust me. A lot of them make silencers and sell them too. And in the first topic of the podcast, we'll talk about why that doesn't work. Okay? Cool. So, keeping with that theme, did you know you can support this entire effort? You can support this podcast, all the public testing we do to keep it independent by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. That's right. Grassroots, baby. And you know what? If you don't want to join with a recurring membership, that's fine. There's a donate button on the review page and podcast page. Every little bit helps. It's tax deductible. Throw us a bone. $1, $2, $2 million, whatever you want to give. Just kidding. if times are tight and you cannot give a monetary contribution to this research effort, that is completely fine. Something that's free and does not cost anything but your time is just, hey, give us a good rating on Spotify or iTunes or YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and spread the word. Let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome, and that suppressed small arms are a really great thing. And through physics and education, we can all understand them, use them more safely, and frankly, get better technology. Okay, it's pretty good, I think. Okay, so again, 3 topics today. It's going to be a long one, so buckle up. I'm telling you. 3 topics. First topic, topic 1. Happy belated 4th birthday to the silencer sound standard. That's right. In March of 2020, PEW Science launched the standard that is used worldwide for objective analysis of suppressed system performance. That's right. We did. I can't believe it's been 4 years of public testing. It's crazy. Topic 2, Sound Signature Review 6147, the Combat Application Technologies CAT JL-A1. That is the CAT JL on Supersonic 308. That's a technical discussion of the paper that we published last week, and this addresses the CAT SNIPER2 technology. That's a big deal, and we'll have to go into that. It's going to be a lot. And then topic 3, same song, different verse, Sound Signature Review 6148, the Combat Application Technologies CAT MOB A1, the CAT MOB on the HK MP5, specifically the SP5, but let's be reasonable. Technical discussion of this paper as well. Again, we published that last week, and this discussion will focus on the CAT DiVerge technology. Oh my goodness gracious. So that's like 2 new silencer technologies that no one ever seen before, and we have to tackle them in one episode. That's fine. Topic 1 at a time of 12 minutes and 6 seconds. Okay, 1 moment, please. Okay, topic 1, and this first one will be quick. Okay, it's a mandatory topic. Okay, so topic 1, big happy belated 4th birthday to the silencer sound standard. Amazing. Actually, my wife and I went out to dinner last month to celebrate this. We do it that's all we do. Like once a year, my wife takes me out to dinner to celebrate the launch of this. She was actually one of the folks that convinced me to do it after I had been talking about it for so long. And she's awesome. So she took me out to dinner. We talked about it, and every year we set some goals and everything, and we've exceeded them every year with your help, and it's been great. And so, it was 2019 that I founded this company, and in 2020 we launched the public standard, and again it was not a new idea. Okay, it was over a decade in the making, but I was busy, and I've done this type of thing for almost 2 decades now. Professionally, with combustion and blast hazards and everything. It's just what I do, and it's just my career. And I hadn't got around to it. When you're younger in your career, you have to do other things. But I finally had enough time. And so, with the state of the silencer industry and my personal experiences being what they were when I tried to purchase silencers and understand the performance. When I went to try to get high performing silencers by Googling and looking at YouTube videos, I was trying to find solid performance data, hard data. I don't want an opinion. I don't want a flowery language in marketing. I don't want that. I want hard data. I came up empty-handed, 100% empty-handed. And so something had to give. And this was the motivation that I needed to finally put a stop to all of this nonsense and do it correctly. Engineers solve problems. They might be difficult to deal with sometimes. You might be frustrated with them in your job if you're not an engineer, and I understand that. We can be difficult. But we do solve problems. That's what we're wired to do. It's what we're trained to do. And this is that. PEW Science is a solution to a problem. Okay? And that's where we are, guys. That's where we are. So again, this is not a long topic. It's not meant to be long and drawn out. I just wanted to say thank you, like I do every day, But once a year, I just want to reflect for a minute, and I want to help everyone remember what it was like before the Silencer Sound Standard and what it was like before PEW Science. And I want you to remember how much money and time has been wasted and how many disappointments have occurred because there was no reliable information available. Never forget it, dude. Never forget the reason why PEW Science exists. You're gonna have a bad time, dude. And you know what? And this is really cool. I do want to talk about this because this blew my mind. Serendipitously, to further commemorate this wonderful anniversary, the other night this week, was it last night or night before? I don't know. Today's Tuesday, so it might have been. Yeah, it might have been Monday night. A random consumer on social media, it was on Reddit, he posted his user experience with 19 of his silencers. Guys, 19. He has 19 silencers. Fine, that's a feat in and of itself, but he posted in-depth experience. So this guy not only has 19 silencers, which is pretty wild for a lot of you, right? He shoots them. He keeps track of the rounds through them. And he records detailed performance information for himself. Like, he's straight up, he's a crazy person, just like me. I was like, when I started reading his post, I was like, oh, I know, he's got it. He's got the sickness bad. I was like, cool, okay, very good. But he's a consumer. This guy is not affiliated with a dealer. He doesn't have a YouTube channel that's like affiliated with a dealer secretly or something like that. This is literally just a silencer guy, like posting randomly on the internet. So it's pretty cool, right? And I say that like, oh my God, Jay, are there people that have YouTube channels that are affiliated with dealers and don't tell us? Absolutely there are. There absolutely are. Trust me, dude. We see it all the time. They don't tell you they're affiliated, but they are. So this consumer, this independent dude, he's just a silencer guy with enough money to buy what he likes, right? Cool. He posts his experience with 19 silencers. How many of those silencers do you think have been tested and analyzed by PEW Science? Well, I'm here to tell you almost all of them have. Cool. How many of his experiences line up with our data and analysis over the past 4 years of this effort? Well, all of his experiences line up, apparently. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can read his post on Reddit, read his experiences, and then you can go to the articles we wrote on our website, and you'll also see yourself that his experiences agree with our technical analysis of the combustion physics in these silencers. That's right. Oh my goodness. And you know what? I didn't even have to say that because the dude said it himself. Not only did he say unprompted that all of his experiences match PEW Science data in multiple other posts, he said in that post that he uses PEW Science data to make informed decisions about silencer performances for his use case. He is using the Silencer Sound Standard, the published research pedigree at pewscience.com. For the past 4 years, this dude has been using it to buy silencers in a way that would help him have performance for each use case that was appropriate. I'm not saying he was buying each silencer because it was the quietest. I'm saying he was buying the silencers in a way not to be surprised about the performance, because that's the whole point of the standard. So, that guy, that's right, he's a real person. That guy and thousands of other consumers that are doing the same thing as him every day are the reason PEW Science exists. Okay? Real case study. Just balls to dirt, or what? Is that a term? I don't know. Just nuts to grass, or is that a term? It should be. Do you think he could have bought 19 silencers and understood proper expectations for their performance without PEW Science? Do you think that? I mean, look, I guess anything's possible. You get enough monkeys in a room, they can type Shakespeare, right? Isn't that the saying? You know, when you really think about uncertainty theory and, you know, the multiverse, you could think that there's multiple universes, and probably if you had enough monkeys in there, eventually they're going to type Shakespeare, and there's an infinite number of universes potentially, and so they're probably already done it. But I digress. Pragmatically, do you think this dude could have been 19 for 19, without PEW Science? Do you think YouTube video influencer marketing and manufacturer fantasy marketing and dealer sales marketing, including the covert dealer sales marketing where the dealers back the YouTube channels and get kickbacks, do you think all that stuff was going to help make that happen for this guy? Did all those things work for the past 30 years? No. For 30 years, none of it worked. How do we know that for 3 decades it didn't work? How do we know? Well, we watched it not work. Everyone watched it not work. There's written record of it not working. We have the receipts, dude. This isn't like, oh, a long time ago in a land far away, something might have happened. Nah, dude, we were there. You can't whitewash the history. Everyone's still alive that was there, dude. We remember it. It's continuing right now. It's still happening. Right now, literally, guys, right now, as we speak, there are silencer dealers pushing product without true performance characterization. It's harmful practice. It hurts consumers. It hurts the entire industry. Okay? And that has been the story and the motivation for this laboratory since day 0, dude. So for 4 years, PEW Science has worked. So when we get to 30 years of PEW Science, which we will, maybe we will have undone the damage that has been done the previous 30, maybe. Now, and this is my speculation hat, in my opinion hat here. In my opinion, looking at the trajectory, we're on track to fix it sooner. So that's a win for everyone, because everyone's going to win from that. I think we're on track to fix it sooner than 3 decades, I think. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, that's it. I told you it was going to be a fast topic. That's it. It's important. And I hurt some feelings, but I think we're way past that now, aren't we? Okay, our analysis works. You can use it or you don't have to use it. It doesn't matter because it's going to keep working. Okay, that's the beauty about physics. As long as you are in this universe that's governed by them, can't escape. Okay? The Earth, in fact, is not flat, no matter how much you wish it was. So let's talk about some of that analysis. There are 2 articles, like I said, 2 very technical performance cases that I think most people will need help understanding. And that's not a knock on anyone. It's just that I would need help. And I did need help. I had to test it a lot, and I really had to really dig into this data, guys. It was hard. So as is tradition, we're going to dive into the next topic at a time of 23 minutes and 17 seconds. Okay. That's actually not that bad. That's like less than 12 minutes for the first topic. Okay. Pretty good. And I debated, I was thinking about I might even do some more timestamps in this, but then I was like, no. It's an all or nothing proposition to each topic. Take it or leave it. Topic 2, Sound Signature Review 6147. The Combat Application Technologies CAT JL-A1. Okay, this is the CAT JL on Supersonic 308, and this is the full technical performance discussion. This is not the intro. If you want to know some general things about the silencer, tune into the last episode, which was what? I've already forgotten what episode we're on. Was that 206? Yeah, episode 206. Go check that out. We did technical discussion on the Mercy Pluto on 22 bolt action, and then we also did the intro for the CAT Mob and CAT JL. So if you want that opinion, like just the fast blah blah blah, go there. If you haven't listened to that first, but now we're gonna go deep. So I'm gonna go slow enough to where you can take it in, but we're going to go into deep water. So CAT JL, and ladies and gentlemen, this was a humdinger, and there is no other way to say that, frankly. We really didn't know what was going to happen with this silencer. If you guys have been following our research effort, and you have really been watching this company, Combat Application Technologies, you have been seeing performance attributes that are a little odd. Okay, you've been seeing it, and we're seeing it with you. All right. Now, in preparing for this podcast episode, which it did take a while for me to do so, I did want to refresh my memory. And so I went back to the website and I looked back to see what the first CAT white paper we published was. I was like, how long? It's like, we've been publishing so much research. It's been taking so long to do all this stuff. I was like, I kind of lose track sometimes of like when we start certain things. So how did I do that? Well, I went to the rankings section, okay, on the website, pewscience.com/rankings, which is the public, and there's a rankings-members section for members when you're logged in. Okay, I went to the rankings section. There's a sortable table there for you. It's a table for you. That is a tool for you. I select CAT in the drop-down box. Then I sorted by sound signature review, which is chronological, of course, because it is the article number in section 6 of the standard. And when I did that, I saw that the first analytical test report that we published for CAT was the ODB. And it was on the Mark 18. I'm pretty sure that's what I remember. So, what was that? That was a 30 caliber silencer on the 5.56 Mark 18. That's the 10.3 inch barrel, H2 buffer, 070 gas port, standard carbine buffer spring, standard stock position, all standardized. Standard. Okay, it was apples to apples. Okay, we shown you data on that weapon system over and over again. So when we published that ODB data, people saw the suppression ratings. Okay, they saw the composite, they saw the muzzle, they saw the ear, and sure, yes, those were impressive. Fine. Some folks compared it to the Huckworks Flow 762, the Flow 762 Ti, and when you look at the suppression ratings by themselves, going off memory here, I'm pretty sure they were comparable, and there were some overall comparable performance things going on with both the systems in that respect, with free field signature severity. Absolutely. But when you look at the data, when you look at the combustion propagation, the signature features, the flow phenomenology, you start to realize, oh my goodness gracious, what is this, dude? What is this? Why is that silencer able to do what it is doing in the way it is doing it, and what are the implications of it? Okay, this is when I know that not all of you read the articles all the way. I know that, and that's fine, dude. There's levels to this, but that's what the podcast is for. Okay, cool. So with the ODB, what did we do? We tested the Mark 18. We saw, oh wow, that's 30 caliber silencer did pretty good. Oh, okay, cool. We went on to see that in future testing, that surge bypass technology that was in the ODB, it was allowing expedient early time flow rate with an amount of controlled gas momentum throttling in late time that was unprecedented. It was unprecedented what it was doing. And not only on the Mark 18, it's doing it as a 30 caliber silencer on the Mark 18. And I think it was Article 120. So if you want a refresher on that, go look in Article 120. Okay, and of course, there's other data on the ODB you can see as well. The subsonic 300 blackout, the ODB, we have that white paper on the website as well. I forgot what article number it is. Use the rankings table to find it. You'll find it. Okay, so and that data was nuts too. Okay, so I'm bringing up the ODB first because it kicked off the PEW Science experience with CAT, didn't it? It did. It was our first experience with CAT and their R&D group, with their silencers, with the performance potentials, and something that honestly, it's an approach to silencer design and silencer model designations and model intent that we had not seen before as a lab, and that I have not seen before as a silencer consumer. I never quite something like this. The way they're doing it, I just haven't seen it. And I think everyone listening to this, whether you like this effort or don't like this effort, I think you have to agree with this. It's factual. I don't think we've seen anything like that before. So you've seen these silencers from them because they keep trusting us to characterize the performance. So just real quick, shout out to the R&D team at CAT. Thank you. We do appreciate you trusting us to do this. I hope that we're doing it justice. It's a lot of work. We're trying hard. I think we're doing it justice. I like to think we are, and I hope that everyone's happy with this work. Okay, you've seen the ODB, you've seen the WB, you've seen the SR, and now the articles for the JL. Okay. So, again, the ODB and the WB, so far you've seen the surge bypass technology, right? Surge bypass. I explained the controlled gas momentum throttling, but the early time flow rate is high. Interesting, right? So you saw that technology implemented directly into the WB and ODB. Two drastically different silencers, but similar technology, so you get some of the same performance potentials. Very interesting, different use cases, kind of, but don't have to be. Very interesting. Now, you saw some interesting elements of the surge bypass technology in the SR. That's a rimfire silencer. And we're seeing that silencer do things on rimfire. I mean, and the approval times are so fast right now. People are getting those silencers pretty quickly, and they've been giving us feedback. They've never shot rimfire silencer like that. Full stop. And those are their words, dude. That's their words. That's consumer words. Okay. Well, our data shows that too, so there you go. So overall, I think right now people understand what surge bypass does and doesn't do. If you need a refresher on that, again, there's previous podcast episodes and white papers you can review. Okay, and we can do a reunion episode some other time. Okay, so I don't want to bog down the episode, but we do need to talk about that because we need to know where you were so you know where you're going. Okay, one second. Okay, now in the JL, we see another technology being introduced from CAT, and it is called SNIPER2. Okay, SNIPER2 is different. Now, at first glance, you would be tempted to classify it as similar to surge bypass. You really would. And that's because of some of the features of the technology. This is where you would be wrong, and you would actually quickly discover why you would be wrong in practicality once you use the silencer. You can look at something on paper all day, but it helps to use it. Both the surge bypass technology and the SNIPER2 technology take advantage of early venting. Okay. You actually must do that to achieve the highest performance potentials in general. It's a rule of thumb. That's why both of the technologies use that. Now, what happens later after the venting, that's the special sauce. That's the special sauce. Now, in SNIPER2, the name of the game is continuous stagnation relief under high pressure. That is, it's gravy train. How often can you do it? And if you do it often, how controlled can you do it? And if you do it in a controlled way, how consistently can you achieve that control? That's SNIPER2. Manage combustion byproducts quickly, efficiently, in a controlled fashion, and do it consistently. And keep doing it. And keep doing it. And just perform, dude. Just run the quarter mile, do it fast, and just perform. Keep doing it. That's the SNIPER2. Okay, now, what are some performance compromises to doing that? Or when doing that? Well, if you're using the CAT JL for what it's intended to be used for, there are no performance compromises, really. The compromises come when you try to use it for things it's not intended to be used for. Right? But like any high-performance system, you can certainly use it outside the performance envelope. Right? You can drive a McLaren and a Ferrari on the street and do a road race in Mexico. Absolutely, dude. You can do that. No one's putting a gun to your head telling you can't. Maybe the cops are. Whatever. Mexico doesn't have rules. So let's say you put a JL on a SCAR. Okay. Is it going to work? Sure. Sure it'll work, dude. PEW Science has done that. I literally have put a JL on a SCAR, shot under night vision and thermal. Is it going to be as smart as running an ODB on the SCAR? Well, no, maybe not as smart. Now we can start to talk about why. Yes. I'm not going to tell you these random tidbits of knowledge. This is not a trust me, bro discussion. This is a technical discussion. So you ready? Okay, let's look at some data and technical analysis. 1 second. I just have to introduce it in a way that you'll understand where we're going. Pull up 6147. It's the article in section 6 of the Silencer Sound Standard at pscience.com, okay? You can pull up the free version at home. It's free. So anyone can do so. If you're a member, I encourage you to pull up the full member version. Now, let's set the stage, and I have several JL variants on my desk here and everything here. The silencer's QD or hub, so you can, and by that I mean the hub version. It's the standard hub backend. You can put whatever amount you want within reason into it, and the QD version, it's like if you took their TSFX hub adapter and you screwed it in and left it there. It's the same dimensions, and then you use their muzzle device. That's what the QD version is. So that's the easiest way to explain that. Okay. The hub version gives you more mount flexibility, which is cool. The QD version gives you more simplicity, which is also cool. Different strokes for different folks. Now, take the hub version for the discussion, just simply because it's very relatable to you. A little bit shorter than a Nomad L. Okay. Lighter than a Nomad LTI. Okay. The core of the silencer, the hub core, is 9.7 ounces on our scale. The test specimen right in front of me, sitting right here. 9.7. Okay. So this helps you conceptually to understand a size and weight comparison, yes? Okay, so we're going to talk more about comparisons later, but I want to set the stage for you. This is a full-size rifle silencer, but it's relatively similar in size to something you're very familiar with, Nomad L, and it's lighter than the titanium version of that silencer. Okay, I just want to... That's in the article too, but this is for you and your brain. So what's the bottom line up front technically? Okay, 38.9 suppression rating, 1 meter left of the end cap of the silencer on 20-inch bolt-action 308. 53.5 suppression rating at the shooter's ear. Okay. In totality, the composite suppression rating for the system is 53.8. Now, immediately, everyone that follows PEW Science or went to the website to see this, which was a lot of people because we have the analytics. So I know a lot of you seen this. Anybody that went to the website to see this and anybody who went to the ranking section saw immediately the JL now takes pole position. Okay, now, it's not taking pole position in every signature metric, right? No, you've noticed that. The muzzle suppression rating is a little lower than some of the top 5. Okay, true. Yes, that's correct. Now, the shooter's ear rating, well, as well as the composite score, are both the highest ever calculated. Okay. So what this means is that the first time since, I think, November of 2020, we have a new leader in the 308 rankings overall, right? So the Hyperion from CGS, that now falls to second place overall. If you are one of those folks who keeps track of this, which I know there are many of you, that's where we're sitting. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal, dude. That's a long time, something on top like that. And it's not only a big deal due to the raw performance, but it's a big deal because the JL is smaller and lighter. Now, if you look at the Hyperion test on the website that we published way back in November of 2020, so that's a long time ago, the published test report was with the Hyperion thread adapter. And we talked about this several years ago. The reason why that was tested like that was because the R&D unit that we received from the client, from the test client, from CGS, it had a different shoulder profile on its direct thread thing, and it was not able to shoulder correctly on our Savage Model 10 308 test host. Okay? We literally had to call the client and say, hey, man, we're about to test this system, and it's a no-go. So they overnighted us some thread adapters, and we proceeded with the test program, and all was right. It worked. Great. At the time, we didn't understand Hyperion technology. We didn't know what that would do. We literally, we're a test laboratory. We receive test specimens, we perform the test, we do the engineering analysis, and we publish it on the dang website, dude. Or we deliver it to the client. Either way, the deliverables are produced in accordance with the work performed. Okay? And so that's what we did with the best information we had at the time. And that's how it has remained since November 2020 on the website. Okay? So when you look at that configuration tested on the website, you can add it up. It's in the dang first paragraph of the dang article that's been on there for years. Add the length of the Hyperion to what the article says the Hyperion thread adapter adds, and you get like around 10.3 inches. It might be a little longer than that. 10.3 inches long. That's the Hyperion on that 308 bolt gun. Those performance numbers are from that configuration. They always have been. You now have the JL from CAT sitting at a tested configuration of 8.5 inches, all in with the mount in there and everything. And so, and it's beating the Hyperion. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to get across to you. It's not that the JL just performs well, which it does. It's that it's able to do it shorter and lighter. Now, let's look at the other direction. There are other silencers that have approached the Hyperion performance being shorter and lighter. Yes, we all know that. But the JL is the first one to beat it. And that's that little nuance. It's like, remember, and this, everyone has different opinions on performance, but in the silencer sound standard, the suppression rating is highlighted. What is the suppression rating? It's the rating of suppression. What is a sound signature review? It's a review of sound signature. Okay? If you go to the rankings page at the very top, what does it say at the very top of the rankings page at pewscience.com? And it's said for many years. What has it said? There's 9 things up there. You want to read them? Let's read them. Host weapon characteristics, cartridge, ammunition type, accuracy influence, flow restriction, durability, maintenance, total weight and size envelope, sound signature suppression, flash signature suppression. So Pew Science acknowledges and has said publicly for many years, sound isn't the most important thing. In fact, it's 8th on the list out of 9 things on the dang website. It's always been there. And the ranking section with the chart, that's section 7.1. The ranking section is section 7. The subsection for suppression rating is 7.1. You think we're not going to add more than one subsection? You think we're going to stop at sound? No. But right now, there's sound. Right now, the rating you see is a suppression rating. It's based on suppression. Right now, the sound signature reviews you see are sound signature reviews. So if I hear sometimes people say, well, those reviews just aren't the end-all be-all. Well, of course they're not the end-all be-all. They're for sound signature. Yes, you can read. Thank you. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying here is like, no one told you that a sound signature review was anything more than a sound signature review. No one ever told you that. It's in the name. It's in the dang name. It's inherent. Okay? So what are we doing? We're reviewing the sound signature. What is that? It's a pressure field. What is that? Combustion propagation. What is that? How the silencer works. Oh, snap. Okay? So let's look at how technically and physically the CAT JL is beating the Hyperion. Okay, 1 second. Let's look. It's all in black and white. I'm just going to walk you through it. You can do it yourself if you want. If you don't like me, doesn't matter. Go to the website and read the article. How are you beating the Hyperion with the CAT JL? Are you beating it at its own game? Yes and no. Both answers could be correct. It depends on your point of view. Okay, use the word beat. I don't know. Let's dive in. You be the judge. Take a look at the pressure field. Let's look at the pressure field represented by a single point in space. 1 meter left of the silencer's end cap. Where is that, you may ask? Well, it's presented in figure 1. Scroll down. All the way down past that, you don't need to look at the numbers. It's not going to help you. Okay, look at figure 1, figure 1A, and figure 1B. In figure 1A, you immediately see all the hallmarks of a significantly advanced 308 bolt gun performance signature. They're, for you old heads, for you veterans to this effort, to this research effort, that's what you're seeing, okay? You should expect something like that at first glance. Squint your eyes so you don't see the axes. Squint your eyes so you don't see the chart label. Just look at the shape of the dang curve in figure 1A. And if you don't expect something like that to happen with a silencer like this, you have not been reading. Okay? When you look at silencers of this class, the signature, the fingerprint, is displaying characteristics that should resemble that grossly. Agreed? Agreed. Okay? We're not talking about a silencer designed for 300 blackout here. Okay? That's just applied to 308. We're looking at the CAT JL with Sniper2 technology intended for this type of weapon systems. Okay? This is what it is. Relatively long duration blowdown. Now, what is special about Sniper2 in the JL is what you see when you take a closer look. Okay? Look at figure 2. Or, I'm sorry, at figure 1B. I'm sorry. I meant the next figure. Figure 1A and figure 1B. You see it immediately in figure 1B. The degree of consistency and the return to negative phase is similar to Hyperion. You see that right away. The internal combustion profile leading up to the initial jet propagation, like the little squiggles that happen before the big shock, that's another simple way to say that, they have significantly less resonance and they have significantly more control. Now, this is a nuance, and if you didn't look at every single thing, if I hadn't studied every single signature from every single silencer, I might have missed this. Turns out, we've looked at it all. Okay, so it's apparent before the gas even leaves the silencer that you have something going on. What you are seeing physically. Now, this is the physics behind what that fleeting moment in time is showing you. Way less than a millisecond. Okay, this is over microseconds. What you are seeing is Sniper2 forcing rapid stagnation relief through the silencer walls themselves. You're seeing resonance through the walls of the silencer at the sound speed of the material propagate then when the impedance changes to free air, propagating to the sensor 1 meter left at the mil standard location. That's exactly what you are seeing. Technically correct, technically accurate. That is what you are seeing. You are getting a glimpse of what is about to happen before the bullet leaves the silencer. Now, that's how nuts this gets. That's how close we look at this. Okay? As soon as you dump that projectile and the primary muzzle jet, you get a throttle like we have never seen on a 308 bolt gun. And the only way for us to show this to the public properly without spending an hour showing you mathematics and other things that we'd lose all of you, the only way we can show this to you in an easily digestible way is to present the gas momentum accumulation at the same point in space that we talked about earlier. You have this huge pressure field. We have one discrete point in space. And which point did we pick? Did we pick a random point in space? No. Which point did we pick? Which point did we pick? We picked the mil standard location 1 meter left of the end cap. That's the discrete point we picked for the pressure field measurement. Why? Mil standard. Oh, crap. Oh, he used a standard that existed that yes. Yes. You see how this is literally physics and you don't even have to look at the suppression rating if you don't want to. All you have to do is do exactly what anyone could do with open source methods and do this yourself and repeat it as people have. You see how dangerous it is when you actually understand that, how much power you have? Everyone has that power. It's not just us. Who else is doing it? Okay? Look how quickly you can do it. Look at this, figure 2A. Look at it. This is the pay dirt. Figure 2A is the pay dirt for the JL. This is for all the marbles, dude. All the marbles right here. This is what happens with Sniper2 every time you shoot it. Every time you shoot that Sniper2 technology, all day, every day, twice on Sunday, you get gas momentum shown in figure 2. Look at it. Look at figure 2A. Every day. Every day. Figure 2A and figure 2B. Shoot a JL on a flash hider. Shoot it on a brake. Do whatever you want. Direct thread. Go nuts, dude. Put the JL on a bolt gun with a high pressure round and be ready to keep doing exactly what is shown in figure 2. You will ramp up momentum transfer faster than you would with a Nomad L or Hyperion. No bones about that. You can see that in the math. You can see that. Why? Why are you ramping up momentum transfer faster externally with the JL? Why are you doing it faster than with a Nomad L or a Hyperion? Why are you dumping gas a little faster out of the silencer with the JL than you are with the Nomad L or a Hyperion? See how I'm saying this different ways to make sure you understand the question. The reason why it's coming out faster is because you're running a currency exchange. You are continuously relieving stagnation. You are turning over flow and getting a commission. You're getting recurring non-labor-based revenue on your shot string. You are recycling the very nature of combustion propagation. You are quite simply doing work. And because you are doing that so often, so well, and in such an unbelievably controlled fashion within the silencer, you are doing it the same way time after time after time. And guess what? Remember the phenomenon called first round pop, which you all understand happens in every silencer known to man, unless you are purging the atmosphere with something. You understand. First round pop, we talked about that. Remember that? Remember first round pop? Cool. The FRP phenomenon is in the JL. Yes, it's in every silencer. It is there. You cannot escape it because we live in the universe. But just like some other high-performance bolt gun silencers, like the Hyperion, the Thunder Beast Ultra 9, the Rugged Surge, just like those, or things like that, the FRP is masked. Oh, snap. That's right. What does that mean? It means that this is the first shot, or when you think about the first shot may sound a little different, but the severity differential is extremely minimal, okay? And out of every single silencer we've tested on a 308 bolt gun, out of every single one, the JL masks FRP better than all of them, dude. And not by a little bit. It's not like, oh, the JL does it pretty good. It's like, no, dude. It's like, no, the JL's killing other silencers in this. I don't even know. It's not close. Like in fact, it's so nuts. It's so apparent in the data. Like, I literally started laughing when doing the analysis. I was like, did I accidentally put the wrong waveform in there? I was like, wait, what? I was like, no. I was like, what? So I was like, no, let me double check. And I started, okay. Kept happening. Look at figure 2A, dude. Just keep looking at it. You can stare at it all day. Look at it all the ways you want. Look how the impulse accumulation actually starts to slightly elevate in rate as the shot string continues, dude. Or actually not so much in rate, but in amplitude, in final amplitude. It's minute, but it's there. Look at it. It's the opposite of what you see in a primitive silencer, right? I mean, do you know why it looks like that? Do you know why? It's because of literal heat transfer efficiency driving rate increase with the shot string. That's literally what you're seeing. That is the physical manifestation that is the physical representation of what you see in black and white, or black and blue and red and green and brown, or whatever the colors are on that plot. You are literally seeing heat transfer efficiency. The JL masks FRP so well that the only slight differential you're seeing as you continuously fire it at a pretty good clip at our standard like rate of fire, is the silencer heating up and then letting momentum out a little bit more, which is largely imperceptible to the bystanders, which is also crazy. So it's like, the silencer is so consistent that you're noticing heat transfer, like discreetly in the continuum of 5 shots. Like, that's literally what you're seeing. And I'm telling you, that's how consistent the silencer is. You couldn't fake it if you wanted to. You just can't. It's insane, and it's right there. It's in black and white. It's measurable. Just measure it. I don't care what you do. Just pick a DAC and go do it yourself. You know what I mean? So that's the JL in a nutshell, really. Because at a high level, and we haven't even gotten to the crazy part. Without even talking about the crazy part yet. Oh my God, that's right. We haven't even gotten to the crazy part of the data. Right now, all I'm telling you is the Sniper2 technology is managing combustion gases so efficiently that you end up licking your plate in a way. I'm trying to think of analogies. It's like when the meal's so, you ever go out to dinner, the meal is so good, and you run out of bread, and you wanted to dip the bread on the plate to get the juices off, and you're like, oh my God, the steak was so good, and no one's, you look around, and the waiter's not looking at you, and your wife's not looking at you or something, and you're like, dude, should I just pick up this plate and lick this plate right now? I might do it. And you're tempted, right? You're tempted. That's what the JL does on a bolt gun. I think it just squeezes it. I think it squeezes every last drop of what it is. You know what I mean? It's just an efficient design. It's wild. So you see in the data, that's what you see. In the world of blast physics, that's what you would call that, efficient. So you see that in the data. Everyone who has seen one of these being shot sees that too, which is cool. They're like, that keeps sounding the same. Yeah, I know. So let's talk about the complicated part, which, you got to do that. 1 second. There's people listening to this. They're like, this guy's talking way too fast. He seems a little hopped up on pre-workout, and he's a little aggressive. It's like, yeah, welcome to the J Situation podcast. Now, as if the gas management of the Sniper2 wasn't already complicated, there's always something more. If you scroll down in the article, I did explain Sniper2 in Research Note 1. I thought that was important. So in that, what we did, we explained the comparison between the JL in Research Note 2. Yeah, that's right. And actually, in Research Note 2, we explained the comparison between the JL, the Nomad L, and the Enticer L. Okay. When you dive into those comparisons, and notice those are all at the top tier of the leaderboard, right, in 308. It's if this was a race, if this was F1, it'd be like, oh my God, dude, this is these guys are at the leaderboard. Okay. When you dive into those comparisons, it shows you how wild the JL is. Because Hyperion 2, right? Yeah, Hyperion 2. When you look at the Enticer L from Diligent Defense, which a lot of you have, because we already talked about Hyperion. Let's talk about the Enticer. When you look at the Enticer L, you see how drastic the FRP can be in a system that's not advanced. That's a good way to say that. The Enticer L wowed all of us due to the amount of performance they squeezed out of such a simple design. I think when I talked to you about it, when I talked to you about the Enticer L in this podcast, I think I said something, it was years ago, or it was last year or something, 2 years ago. When I talked about it, I was like, I am so impressed with how simple this silencer is and how well it is doing. And I was. And I am. I continue to be impressed. It wowed all of us. It's remarkable. It impressed me when I tested it. It impressed me when I analyzed it. It continues to impress me to this day. But make no mistake, you pay the piper. The simplicity of the Enticer L has relatively severe consequences in this competition. If you are truly looking for the highest performance on a bolt gun, guys, the severe consequences that bite you with the Enticer L are FRP and sound field shape, homie. The Enticer L can be wonderful for the shooter. Wonderful. Especially after that first shot, dude. And that's probably, and this is just a guess, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but, as a I say hog hunter, but I haven't done so much hog hunting lately. I've been so busy. But as a former pretty big hog hunter, I think this is probably why some folks like it for hog hunting and coyote hunting, because the Enticer L is it's light, it's no nonsense, good for the shooter, really great. It's a go-to for, I think, for a lot of folks, which it makes sense, right? It's a good system. But when consistency and immediate performance is on the line with only one shot, and you have to do all you can with that one shot, and if push comes to shove, you need to repeat it exactly the same way, that's what the JL is going to do, and that's what we see in the data. And now the complicated part, it's not only that. It's what happens at the shooter's ear and the muzzle every time we tested the JL. And that's where it pulls away even further from that enticer. The research program that we conducted with CAT was relatively in-depth, just due to the way their R&D arm works and what they look at and what matters to them. And it was a lot of work, dude. So, okay. I'm like, is he traumatized? A little. Now, we don't always get to share everything we do with clients. PEW Science Laboratory does a lot of work that never sees the light of day. We have clients that that are not on the website, that you've never seen and you're never going to see. We have tests that we perform that you're never going to see ever. And that doesn't mean those silencers are bad. It doesn't mean those silencers are good. It just means you're not seeing them. And you just need to know that. And is that a trust me, bro? Well, absolutely, because that's how OPSEC works. And I'm sorry, that's the real world. Okay, so we do a lot of things that never sees the light of day, because that's just how laboratories operate. Okay, not everything can be for you. Not everything can be public. But in this case, we can share things with you, and I can tell you this story, this research program synopsis. Now, at first glance, when you look at this JL and you look at the data, like, just right away, you look at the suppression rating graphic and see the detailed ratings. At first glance, you kind of get the feeling that you're dealing with an Enticer L situation here, or like maybe you're dealing with like an Ultra 9 situation. And like the reason I bring those silencers up, and I'm not picking on those because there's actually several in the article. I think it's in Research Note. I'm scrolling down. It's in Research Note 3 in the article that I explained what I'm about to tell you. There's several silencers that do the Rugged Surge, Trash Panda. These are not good or bad silencers. I'm just telling you a combustion phenomenology and a sound field gradient that occurs. The more you look, at first when you look at the JL, you think it's doing something like these silencers. And what I mean by that, you think what's going to happen is the shooter is just going to get protected better than the guy immediately adjacent to him. And that's the end of story. And okay, the sound field shape is what it is. Got it. That's okay. And that's a very tempting conclusion to make. And frankly, it's something you might make and miss if you're not really looking at this stuff. And the more we looked at this data, we were seeing interesting things happen, particularly when we looked at the QD model performance. Because you got to keep in mind, so we're testing these variants, and we got this QD model, and we have another variant, and we have this hub model, and when you put the TSFX adapter that they supplied into the hub model, it becomes the same exact length as the QD model, and using the same mount for both. You're like, oh, okay. So we started to look at that, and we kept using the same mount type, and we'd vary that. And anyway, the point was we were looking at the same length system every time, and we were trying to understand, like, are we seeing a fluke in the data? Like, is it like how consistent is this system in combustion propagation in general? What are the venting characteristics? Like, we're looking at sound field shape to understand, and we do some things that we don't report in the. We don't report all our data that like extra data like that's not part of the public standard. Like, we're a lab, so we gather a lot of information. So keep looking at this stuff. And we're looking at the QD performance system. We're looking at the hub model performance. We're looking at keeping length constant, and in all of our testing and all of our calculations, we kept getting a composite suppression rating that was pretty dang close. And the wild part about it is that some of the hypotheses here, some of the postulations that we think it's all stemming from that consistency. The inherent consistency of the system. And so one of the theories here, and this is where, look, I know it's late. I got two newborn babies. I'm tired. But listen, just bear with me, dude. Our theory, and when I say our, I mean PEW Science Lab personnel. Our theory is that whatever the initial conditions are in this silencer, all roads lead to recycle. So what it means in our vernacular, what we're saying is, or use instead of the word recycle, use consistent stagnation relief potential for flow rate continuity in the stages. That's just use the word recycle. What it means, what our theory is hedging on, is that Sniper2 tech, it seems to be relatively insensitive to initial conditions, and as long as you feed it something consistent, it will output something consistent. Okay? That might sound like duh. No, dude, that's not a duh statement. That's a holy crap. Trust. So, because oftentimes what you do, you change amount you change something up front or approximately where the gas enters the system. When you change something up front, a lot of times you completely throw the performance out of whack. I think a lot of you understand if you've been following this research. So what we see is that we don't see that happen here. We see it with Hyperion technology. Oh, do we? Right? I think that's very public, that research conclusion that it took us a while to understand just because that was not part of our research study that's a different client. That's CGS. They didn't really, they weren't doing that research. That was a PEW Science thing. And so we saw that with Hyperion technology, and we saw in actually our own in PEW Science internally funded research, PEW Science saw that if you don't implement that technology in just the right way, with perfect orifice standoff, that Hyperion technology, if you don't do that just right, you can change things in unintended ways. Look at the Helios QD. Look what happens on the Mark 18 with the direct thread mount, and then watch what happens when you funnel that blast to the first orifice and watch it behave more like a Hyperion technology silencer. That's right. It's nuts. It's nuts. If you're just a regular silencer consumer, if I told you that 3-4 years ago, you'd be like, you're a liar. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm from the future. You're like, nah, you're also a liar. I'm like, fine. Wait 4 years. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Now, while that's cool, because it's cool, as an analyst, I think it's cool. A lot of people that are nerds about this stuff also think it's cool. And it's academically interesting, certainly. But it can throw off your entire day, really, if you want the thing to do something and you don't know how to get it to do it. And you're like, oh my God, why isn't my gun? Oh, now my gun's doing this. And oh my God, it's so frustrating, right? Just subjectively, in my opinion, it can be frustrating. And I've seen consumers get frustrated about it. And, we wouldn't even know how the thing was working if we hadn't done our own research on it. Okay, so now with Sniper2, it's different. In our evaluations of Sniper2, it doesn't seem to care like that so far. Now, am I saying that you can't get it to do something weird? No, I'm not saying you can't get it to freak out. I'm just saying we haven't gotten to freak out yet. I'm not saying it won't freak out. Right now, it's not freaking out for us in what we've done. So it almost performs, and this is, I don't mean anything negative or derogatory about, so do not get upset. Sniper2 in our evaluations performs almost like a dumb soldier. And and this is I'm struggling with this analogy, but it's what I mean is it's going to do what it's told to do, without even thinking about it, dude. And that's not bad. Sometimes you need that, right? That's fine. It's the best way in plain English I can explain Research Note 3 in the article. The JL is not picky when it comes to making your rifle consistently quiet, like the end. I hope that helps that, because it's really complicated. There's actually a lot of physics involved with what's happening. And it has to do with sound field shape and changing part of the shape and not making up for it elsewhere, but not tripping above a threshold that sucks. Just shoot the silencer and with your buddies and tell me what you think. Okay. Now, Where was I going to go? I lost my train of thought. Oh, right. Okay, so before we go on and talk about what could happen on other hosts, let me take a second to tell you about what we measured the shooter's ear. Okay? And then I'm going to take a quick break, grab another bottle of water, and I'll be back in a second. But so the members only data and analysis, that's going to have shooter's ear combustion analysis. If you're a member, go check it out. For the rest of you, let me just say, when you see the suppression rating at the shooter's ear and you combine it with how it's achieved and the consistency of the muzzle gas dynamics, it's a recipe for ridiculousness, dude. And that is like, I know that's a stupid word. You're almost 2 inches closer to the shooter's ear with the pressure source than you are with the Hyperion, okay, with this thread adapter. And you're doing work that's unprecedented. The work you're doing is so consistent. It's the work. Okay, let me put this a different way. The combustion propagation out of the end cap of the JL produces a sound field that is so consistent that it actually buys you protection at the shooter's ear. And this, guys, is the part that a lot of people get really upset about. Not most of you, but you know who I'm talking to. Yes, you can make a silencer that's quiet. Yes. But at the highest levels of performance, at the highest level of supersonic bolt gun suppression, to truly get performance like this, in this size envelope, you're going to have to really manage flow. You have no choice. The difference between a JL and a Nomad L or a Hydrogen L or any number of other full-length high-performance silencers is the consistency and the gas flow that pulls away. Like if you're driving down and you've got those two, then you have like two cammed vets and like one of them just has a shot of nitrous. Like, look, it's like you're racing Formula One. One team just has that extra technology. They got that practice. They got engineering, whatever it is. They got a ringer or something in there, dude. They're like, what? They have something. And they keep pulling away lap after lap. And then it's like a little bit here, a little bit there. It starts to add up. That's the difference. We don't even harp on this a lot of the time. It's not, like most of the time, it's like the only time it really gets appropriate to talk about a lot of this very advanced stuff is when it becomes relevant, right? Like you don't do a detailed comparison of a Sandman S and a Hydrogen L. Like you would never take a Sandman S and a Hydrogen L on a bolt gun and be like, well, the reason the Sandman S is not like, it's like, no, it's ludicrous, dude. It's completely ludicrous. Everyone knows if you shoot a Hydrogen L on a bolt gun and you shoot a Sandman S or even a Sandman L on a bolt gun, I think we know what's going to happen. It's like, oh, the guy in a vet pulled up to the guy that he really loves his Miata and he knows it can take the corners well, but I'm sorry. Your Miata's not a Corvette, no matter how many times you say it might be. And that's not inflammatory to say about a Sandman and a Hydrogen L. It's just the Sandman's never going to be a Hydrogen L, even if it wishes it was. And so that's why we don't compare the two, because it's stupid. And but the designers of both silencers would agree. It's like, why would you even draw that comparison? So we never talk about it with you. So we never had a chance to really help you understand that it's ludicrous. So what if you want to compare a Nomad L to a JL? Okay. Do it. Okay. Compare an Enticer L to a JL. Do it. Compare a JL to a Hyperion. Okay, do it. Now you do that. Okay. Then you step back and you turn over the piece of paper you're using for your little judgment. Maybe you had a scorecard, but you forgot to turn over the piece of paper. Right? And then you start looking at the boxes to check, and you forgot the boxes were there on the other side, and you're like, oh shoot, dude, I forgot there was a back. Like, you ever done that? Like, you ever like go, like you're in school and you're taking a test and like you finish so fast and you're like, oh man, that was easy. And like you look around the room and like everyone's still working. You're like, oh man, did I mess up? And then you like flip it over, you're like, oh, my hand is not back. I've done that before. It's the worst. Like, oh, I'm stressed. Yeah. You and me both, dude. I think everyone's done that. So, and the rest of the silencer industry, I think, has too. That's a good analogy, I think, for that. Oh, you forgot more things matter than the peak dB. Oh no. Yeah, don't use your data acquisition system like a sound meter. You're gonna have a bad time, dude. So read the article. Scroll down. What I'll do, we'll scroll down to the public version here, and what we can do is we can scroll at we can look at the omega metric. Let's do that. Okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a break. I'm going to get a drink of water and use the bathroom, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Oh, very good. Oh, feels so much better. Now, that's right. In the public review, what you can do, you can scroll down the public version. You can go to the big old bar chart there, and you'll see that there's suppression ratings of the muzzle and ear, and there's also the omega metric. And that's really interesting about the silencer as well. So remember, I told you about the highly efficient stagnation and relief and constant recycling and redistribution of high pressure flow. It's continuously expanding where you want it to. It's not expanding where you don't want it to. One of the consequences of that, and that's in that Sniper 2 technology, one of the consequences is that it's an elevated impulse accumulation rate. Okay, like I said, and that is directly expressed numerically in Figure 5. Okay, you can see the bar chart there. That's not an exhaustive list of 308 silencers we've tested, but it's all the 308 silencers in Omega Zone 6 and above. Okay, cool. Now, you drop Omega metric down to Lahar 30 levels with a JL, and your shooter's ear suppression rating's 53.5. Well, apparently I have more significant figures, or I have more digits. 53.52. That's right. Yeah, I forgot that chart has more digits. Okay. 53.5. So when has something like that ever happened? Or really even remotely close to that, right? Like the closest like phenomenology we have to this type of behavior in a gross sense has been the enticer L and the Hyperion, in that you get this omega drop and an incredible shooter's ear suppression. And in those three, the JL is pulling ahead. And those are the numbers, and that's the conclusion. The end. Okay, read the article. Just go look at it. Do the math yourself. Compute the omega metric from the waveforms. You have enough resolution to do it if you really wanted to. Your numbers will come out close enough. You can check the math. Now, I want to talk about other animals. I told you I was going to. Like other things like you could do with the JL. Like, I don't know, for example, subsonic 300 blackout or semi-auto weapons or things like that. Just let me give you some people asked about this, and that's one of the reasons why I wait a week to talk about silencers after we publish data for them, because I want people to be able to give feedback so I can fully address your questions all at once. So I can tell you right now, we have put the JL on a 13-inch SCAR 17. It works. I guess it wouldn't be called a SCAR 17 at that point. It's like the CQC, whatever. 13-inch barrel SCAR 7.62. We put the JL on that. It works, dude. But that Omega, it's going to end up doing something you don't necessarily want it to do all the time. And the SCAR will work. You adjust your gas. You can use it. The alpha parameter in the silencer is relatively high. But if it were me, dude, and it is me because I have these silencers in that gun, that's an ODB thing for me. If I had to stick with CAT, I'd go ODB on the SCAR. Now, if you want to do another silencer, you can do Flow 7.62. But I probably wouldn't run a JL on a SCAR if I didn't have to. Now, if I had to, I'd do it. But it wouldn't be my thing. Like, I think that's more like, if you're looking at the different Skynet technologies from CAT, I would say That's a surge bypass application, not necessarily Sniper 2. Now, 300 blackout. Now, you would think, and this is something I really need you guys to listen to, you would think if the omega metric was reduced, you might worry about the 300 blackout performance. You might think, well, oh my goodness, we're not trapping gas enough. Like maybe the gas is getting out too quickly. What we're wanting to do is we want to stagnate flow. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Oh no, the sky is falling. Oh no. Well, please don't be afraid. What I can tell you that Sniper 2 does relieve stagnation, yes, but what do you think is happening through constant, consistent stagnation relief and the way it's doing it? What if it starts really early? Okay? Guys, whoever gets one of these back with these fast approvals, like I don't know who's going to get these things, go put it on a subsonic 300 blackout host and go shoot it. That's all I'm going to say right now. Just go do it. Just trust. Okay. So, I mean, I don't even want to spoil the surprise for you. So, all in all, it's an interesting silencer. There is a QD version, hub version. It's titanium. It's 3D printed monolithically. The thing is nuts, dude. It's light. Performs consistently. Put high pressure or low pressure into it, and it will work very consistently. That is our experience to date in our laboratory. So yeah, I think this is sort of historic in a way. Like, I don't know how many of you remember when we tested the Helios QD. Do you remember that silencer? It's from CGS. Did you know that was actually a member-funded test? That was internal PEW Science research. We tested and analyzed that Helios QD several times because we were seeing things that we had never seen before. And it was early on in the public effort, and we were testing stuff, and I was like, that can't be right. What a strange sound field that is. How is that happening? You know? And it was just a strange silencer, and as the pedigree had expanded, and to be clear, I'm talking about the Helios QD on 7.62 NATO, the 308 bolt gun test. Okay, so as the research pedigree expanded, that situation that we ran into with that Helios QD on 308, it occurred a few more times. It happened with Huxworks stuff a little bit. I think I talked about that on the podcast where we tested the Flow 556K and we were like, no way, what? And we kept testing it. We put it in a freezer. We tested it. We got it really hot. We tested it again. Like we saw the differential. And we're like, okay, so that's tracking with physics. So that means the physics is right. Okay, so let's do it again at ambient. Okay. And so we kept doing that. And we're like, okay, weird. And we have all this like sweet. I tell you what, in our archives of the Flow 556K data, we have more data probably than Huxworks does. And I can probably say that with confidence because I've been to their lab and we exchanged notes for peer review. So yeah, like I can tell you that was nuts. So it happened with Helios QD, happened with the Flow 556K from Huxworks. So that was two different companies, completely different technologies, but similar like gut check moments where we're like, whoa, we need to like do our super due diligence to make sure we're not wrong on this because the implications are insane. And sure enough, we're right. It happened with the Hyperion stuff, which, again, the Helios QD uses Hyperion technology, but it's not a Hyperion, and the Hyperion was actually a contracted test for CGS. It happened with that. We were like, this is weird. And now, and I think there's other examples too, but now, long story short, it happened with the CAT JL. It's also one of the systems that push us. It's things like this that push us. They push us as test engineers. They push us as analysts. And as communicators and educators. This type of technology characterization raises the bar of effort. So that's it. I think I will say that steps forward in technology and performance push all of us. And they help us to know where we are. They help us to know where we were. And they help us to know where we're going, guys. Like, what is the future? And again, big thanks to Combat Application Technologies. They are bringing things at a high level. It's causing everyone, including PEW Science, to have to rise to the occasion to quantify what that means. Taking consumers are like shooting these things, and they're like, "What's going on, dude?" That is one of the most insane things that's happening right now, because approval times are so fast. I am so thankful that we're able to get this data and analysis to you, because people are shooting these silencers and they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm telling you what's going on. And we're right there with you. Just because we're a test lab doesn't mean we're not silencer people. So when you get excited, when you shoot a gun and it's working like you're like, what? Like, why is this? Like, why isn't, what? What do you think happens with us? Not only are we shooting them, we're looking at the dang technical analysis. It's the same thing. It's just a different level, dude. It's like different sides of the same coin. We are experiencing this in real time, just like you. We don't make silencers. We do not sell silencers. We don't design them. All we do is receive things to test and experience it like you. We just happen to measure stuff and write it down. Okay? And do a little bit of math. Okay? That's the only difference, man. We're the same. It's like, I'm sure your favorite UFC fighter also plays Madden or something, like a video game. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy, whatever. So yeah, speaking of ridiculous things that we've spent untold amount of man hours on that have consumed my life, next topic at a time of 1 hour. Oh my God. 26 minutes and 37 seconds. Let no one accuse us of half-assing anything ever. That's one thing we're not guilty of. Topic 3, Sound Signature Review 6148. This is the Combat Application Technologies CAT Mob, the CAT Mob A1. It's on the MP5. So again, just like we got done talking about for the past hour, the JL, which it took an hour. We're doing the same thing with the Mob. 1 second, I'm running out of gas. I'm sorry. Hold on. I do this in one shot. I don't edit these, so it's the only way I can do it with my schedule. So it is what it is. The CAT Mob, I have those also on my desk. It's different than the JL. We'll talk about why. So this again was published last week, just like the JL report. That was 147. This is 148. We just talked about Sniper 2, and now we're going to talk about DiVerge. So you've seen surge bypass earlier in the year. You saw Sniper 2 last week with the JL, and now you're going to see DiVerge with the Mob. Okay, bro, let me regroup here. Okay, so let me, you know what? I'm going to go to the website real quick. I'm going to go pewscience.com. I want to see something. The first data set we published on the MP5 was the Phoenix, right? Hold up, dude. Okay, I went to rankings. I cleared everything. I went to weapon system on the rankings table filter, and I selected subgun on the dropdown. Okay, and I sorted by sound signature review, and I see in review 86 we tested the GSL Phoenix. Okay, and when I click on that little guy here, it says that the date on the article is August 18th of 2022. Okay, cool. So we've been moving kind of slow then on this when you really look at it. I just wanted to see, and part of that's my fault, fine. But that was an awesome test, right? Like, that was awesome. Like, it's a pretty historic test, right? The Phoenix? That's literally an old Gemtech Mark 9K, right? Remember that? Is it not? That's a super famous, super prolific silencer. Frankly, it's super quiet. The subgun silencer, the Phoenix, amazing silencer. I love it. It's made by GSL. Remember, they made the Gemtech stuff. Greg Lotka, he's like the guy, right? He's the guy who made the 3-lug mount with the spring. There's the Bixler mount, which is a fixed mount, which I like too. But Greg made the made the spring-loaded 3-lug. All the ones everyone copied that you use. Yeah, that's the Greg and G. That's the G in GSL. Yeah, that's the dude. Anyway, cool guy. I met him. He's nice. They're still making that Phoenix. It's an old Gemtech Mark 9K, but it's called the Phoenix now, and a ton of you have them. And they're traditional aluminum coaxial subgun silencers. That's what they are, and they're cool, dude. And that was in August of 2022 that we showed that. I'm doing some reminiscing because this is the 4th anniversary, and that's I'm very proud. I'm very proud that GSL contracted with us to do that. That's amazing. Actually, I was very honored to talk to Greg. I talked to Greg himself about that. He came to us to do that. So since August 2022, we tested and published more. And you know the unique thing about the MP5 dataset so far in the Silencer Sound Standard? You know the unique thing is it's actually, I think, one of the few subsets of the pedigree where every single test performed so far has been under contract. Every single one. Every single one in the table I'm looking at right now. Yeah, that's right. GSL Phoenix, right? GSL Phoenix, Resilient RS9, Huxworks Cache 9K, Otter Creek Labs Lithium, PTR Vent 2, and now the CAT Mob. That's 6 separate tests, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6 separate tests. 6 separate test programs funded by clients. Okay, that's programs that came to us from manufacturers, contracted as professional services, and the deliverables were made public on our website. Oh, snap. That's right. And so I wanted to highlight that here before we get started. Look, it's a point of pride for the industry right now, right? This should be a point of pride because MP5 suppression has historically been one of the coolest things ever. Is that a subjective statement? You bet your sweet ass it is, dude. Yes, it's a subjective statement, but MP5 suppression is the bee's knees, man. It is one of the most enjoyable platforms to shoot with a silencer, bar none, dude. So please thank all of those companies. This is a point of pride. They are each individually responsible for contributing to one of the most important parts of the research pedigree, the MP5. Characterizing the suppressed MP5 in the way that it has been done in the pedigree by our laboratory has never been done before, publicly, that I've seen. And if it has, you show me. Okay? And the engineers at HK took notice. So just know, this is important. Just know what you are getting from these companies is important. GSL, Resilient, Huxworks, Otter Creek, PTR, and CAT. What you are getting from these companies is important. If you want to take a big step back, bird's eye view all of this, that's important. So this is the CAT Mob, okay? You got to know this stuff. I don't want the big picture to get lost. I want everyone, what if something happens to me? You guys need to remember this stuff. It's important. That's why I'm documenting. This is basically a diary from the beginning. So CAT Mob, 6th company to choose to have their performance published on the MP5. 6th silencer you've seen. This is a submachine gun silencer. Okay, 1 second. Put it on an MP5. Put it on your M11-9. Put it on your PCC, your pistol caliber carbine. It's a dirty word, whatever. Put it on that. Put it on whatever subgun you want to do and do subgun things with your friends, dude. It's a subgun time. It's like the ammo's a little cheaper. Things are definitely quieter. The yard pops are theoretically something one could do, theoretically. I'm not saying do that. So, you know what I mean? It's like this is not 308. This is not 5.56. This is submachine gun. It's like one of the best things a silencer guy could do. It's so cool. It's you should suppress a subgun. It is so fun. So late last year, and we're gonna go through the recent history here because it's important. All this is important. You need this context. Late last year, we all saw something wild happen, right? PTR, they brought purposely induced porosity to the market, right? The PIP technology. Okay, we saw that in the Vent 2 on the MP5. Absolutely. That was Article 6.131. I'm looking at the dang ranking table right now. Okay, 131, 148. Okay. what, 17 articles ago. Can he do math? Is that right? Yeah. 17 articles ago. Now, the Vent 2 on the MP5, it knocked our freaking socks off, dude. The way it works is interesting, too. You get a lot of heat transfer efficiency with a lot of surface area and turbulence. Yes, it's a double whammy that ramps up the efficiency and it helps you get a lot done. Very impressive. They combine the lattice structure with conventional baffles, and that system works very well on the MP5. That Vent 2, in general, it makes the MP5 a joy to shoot. It performs at a high level at both muzzle and ear, which is incredible. That is like just nice. Just nice. And you know what? The Vent 2 is so good, actually, that when we tested it and analyzed it and published our findings, I believe we used the words something like one of the most significant advancements in the suppressed small arms state of practice, like something like I think I said that, and I know I do. I remember the words. I wrote in the article, and people liked it so much. It was on Booth's SHOT Show, and I was like, this is insanity, but it's true. It is, and it continues to be. And I will say, for the record, we do believe that the PIP technology is that type of technology, is one of the most significant advancements in suppressed small arms state of practice. And there's nothing that takes that away from PTR. Absolutely. Now we all did a double take when that came from PTR. It's an MP5 clone company, as far as I'm concerned. As far as you're concerned, that we're listening to this, I mean, that's all we knew PTR for, really. They made some other, not only MP5, just roller guns in general. Fine. The HK clone companies typically don't release technologies like that. It's like if Todd Bailey came to you and released a silencer, it's like that's a throwback. But you know what I mean? Like, you're like, what? Like, okay, relax. Like, that's not, like, that is uncharacteristic for the demographic. Like, if Dakota Tactical came and like released a silencer, it's like, okay, relax. Like, you know. But PTR did, and it's nuts. And so it did surprise everyone in the space, because we didn't understand. Like, we just didn't know PTR. Like, I didn't know him. Like, right? I'm just not, like, you know. It's fine. All that's a good thing. That was surprising. The performance was surprising. All these are great things. Everyone benefited. I mean, it was just, what a wild ride. And you know, the question was always there. Well, what happens when you elevate it? Like, what happens when you take the performance of the PIP, the PIP, and you actually surpass it with a completely different technology, and you do so in only a matter of months? And I was thinking of how to couch that to you and what to call it. And I guess it's called an arms race. Really, it's literally an arms race, and I don't think it's ever happened before in PEW Science history. I was trying to think of it. I was looking, because I'm actually struggling to think of a time where it's happened since I've been around silencers in this way, right? Because what I do remember, and I'm dating myself, but I do remember the pistol silencer wars between Advanced Armament and Surefire and Gemtech and SWR. Well, maybe not so much pistol with Surefire, but that was more rifle. It was like the rifle, the pistol and rifle silencer wars between AAC and Surefire and Gemtech and SWR. And there's more in there too, but like, there's just some specific battles I remember. I was there, remember that, like, as a fly on the wall. I remember that. I was watching them. I think everyone back then was watching them, and everyone was incredibly interested to see how it was going to happen. But the timelines involved with those knockdown, drag out battles back then were long. And so it's generally rare to see technologies that have been developed over a long period of time just being debuted like really close to one another. And then at the same time have insane performance. So you see how it's like confounding factors that make it strange. It's not any one thing. It's just all of it at once. It's like, what? It's really crazy. So it might just be that. And I was thinking about this. I was like, well, maybe it's just that we have PEW Science now, so we can actually quantify the performance, and that might be part of it, because maybe we didn't have that tool before. So like we wouldn't know exactly how much things were advancing. You know what I mean? Because if you can't quantify it, like, you don't know where you are. Yeah. So, you look, the PIP, the purposely induced porosity, and the Vent 2, and the DiVerge technology and the MOB, they're completely different, right? Like, they couldn't be more different, actually. It's not even the same sport in the way they work. They're so different. Like, those two silencers are so different. You couldn't accuse either one of those companies of like ripping each other off. It's so incredibly different that it's like it may as well be a different ball game. And you look at the MOB, and it's coming to steal lunch money, as the kids say. The kids still saying that. I think that's still the saying. Like, you coming to steal your lunch money. I think that's what they say. So I want to talk about how it's stealing the lunch money, and is the teacher gonna see it happen? If that were to happen, if you could steal someone's lunch money, will this teacher see it on the playground? Will it get its comeuppance? 1 second. I'm losing my mind. Hold on a second. What will happen? Let's pull up Article 6148. Okay. I mean, I think people that are brand new to this podcast are like, we are never listening to this again. This guy's completely and utterly lost his mind. It's like, well, that's true. I encourage you to please give me a chance. Pull up Article 6148. I am telling you, of all the dang things I thought was going to happen this year, this was not on my bingo card, dude. Like real quick. So real quick, titanium silencer, 3D printed. Okay. Just like that JL we just talked about in the previous topic. And actually it's funny because they're on my desk right here. When you compare the two silencers from the outside, they actually look pretty similar, right? The MOB is just shorter and a smaller diameter. So, okay, so like basically, like you see them like, oh, it's just a smaller JL. It's like, no, dude, that's where the similarities end. Like the two silencers couldn't be more different. In fact, it's actually ridiculous how different they are. Like, it's ridiculous how different the JL and the MOB are. Like, some of the silencer companies, you see, like, they'll like have a baffle, and they use the same baffle in every single silencer. They just change the shape, or change the size of it. Like that. That is not what this is, dude. The thing you're going to notice if you look in both of them is the early venting. And you're like, oh, they both have vents. Oh, they're the same. Nah. What you don't see is what happens later. And it's a common theme, actually. Remember, pressure management, gas expansion management. Underexpanded supersonic flow out of a jet nozzle. Yes, the gases are moving fast. They're going to expand. If you understand what to do with them, and you understand the combustion profile, you understand its duration, you understand how to be the best traffic cop you can be, you too can be the quietest silencer on the planet. Yeah, it's like a game show, right? Like, I'm serious though, right? Like, these are the design principles from a bird's eye view. Like, this is the 4th year of this, dude. If you're a designer and you have been paying attention for the past 4 years, like, this can help you advance what you're doing. If you just want to do it, like, just go nuts. Like, the technology in the MOB is called DiVerge. Now, at first, again, just like the Sniper2 technology in the JL, like at first glance, if you look inside the silencer, you might be tempted to call it surge bypass. I know. Tempting. Incorrect, though. Different animal. There are a lot of ways you can describe it. In the article, there's a very technical description. And really the fastest and most, I think probably the most accessible way I can describe the DiVerge technology is like take surge bypass and then help it deal with like that new girl that your friend is dating. Like everyone's tolerating her politely. And you just need like, yeah, dude, Susan's crazy. Like, just, she's cool. Like, whatever. Just, I know she's going to be at dinner. Like, relax. Like, Joe really likes her. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, all right, dude. All right. We roger that. Like, let's be a bro. And like, you show up, you're like, all right. You're like letting her talk. You're like, all right, she's normal. like you're like, you're Joe's wingman. You're like, dude, it's fine. Like, Joe, like we love you. Like we want you to be happy. It's like the DiVerge technology is very patient. It will help. It will deal with what you give it, even if it's slow and annoying. Like, and it's flexible. Like the Mob has a removable end cap. Like, for example. That's right. Like, you don't really know a lot about that because I haven't shown you that. I don't know if CAT's shown you that. They might have. I don't know. It does, dude. You can take the end cap off. And actually, deep in the research depths of the DiVerge development, there are other things you can do with the Mob. It's kind of wild. So that's the simple thing to know. Now, you can be assured that whatever you put through the Mob will be managed patiently. It is patient. So what I mean by that is where the JL routes things continuously and consistently and just kind of swallows things whole in that way. Like this, like surge bypass gets exceedingly more efficient the higher the pressure gets, and it doesn't restrict through the whole cycle. You go to DiVerge, and what it does, it's going to throttle things in a more complex way below and above a certain input pressure. And the end result is that you're never really going to raise above a certain level of severity given the correct input. You just don't get louder. And what we found is that the Mob just stays quiet in situations where you would not necessarily expect it to given the early time flow rate. And so I know I'm speaking about this in an abstract way, and I know I used a kind of some stupid, like maybe not funny to you, analogies, and it's because I want you to start thinking of these technologies holistically and their behaviors, so you can tell them apart. And when you put them on different guns, you can be like, oh, that's why. And I feel like if I explain the physics in an accessible way, you'll learn better and remember it better. Okay, 1 second. I mean, it helps me. Remember that old analogy I used about like the movie theater and people like running through it and then like bodies stacking up in the closets and stuff, and everyone was like, I think it was like an Otter Creek review, and it was about like the PR30. It was like the Omega baffle analogy with pressure stagnation relief. Remember that? I can't tell you how many people have emailed me about that and telling me that it helps them. Okay, so if you have to remember the DiVerge technology in the Mob about, helping an annoying girlfriend of your buddy not be so annoying at the dinner table with all your buddies, like, and just be patient with her. Well, if that helps you remember the Mob technology, the DiVerge technology in the Mob, and it helps you understand physics, well, as we go through this, well, then I've done my job. If not, well, maybe you don't like this. Maybe this podcast isn't for you. Okay. We'll go to top to bottom in the review like we always do. I'll show you exactly what I'm saying with hard data. Okay, don't worry. Pull up the article 148. Okay, bottom line up front: 65.1 suppression rating, 1 meter left of the end cap of the Mob and the MP5. That's with Spear Lawman, 147 grain subsonic, full power 9mm self-defense practice ammunition. 50.6 at the operator's ear. What does that do? It results in a calculated total composite suppression rating of 65.3 on the MP5. Okay, 65.3 at the MP5. That is high, brother. Bro, look, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. No, really, what in tarnation? Boy, howdy. We hit the dang 50 threshold at the ear. I'm so tickled about that. I am so dang tickled because I am such a dang MP5 guy, dude. I am such an MP5 guy. Oh, I'm so into the MP5 right now. And always. We finally have a 50 zone silencer. Oh my God. All I want to do is go shoot this dang thing. And my wife and I just had twins. You see, the babies, their dexterity is not there. They cannot hold the MP5 yet. I cannot use that as an excuse to take them with me. Oh, boy, don't you worry. I'm going to be using that as an excuse. Honey, they really need to learn marksmanship with the ghost ring sight. or whatever you call the MP5 site. It's so efficient. Anyway, yeah, I'm busy with baby stuff. I as soon as I can break away, I'm gonna go shoot this dang thing in my own free time, just because, like, why wouldn't I? Okay, that's enough of that. I'm not gonna apologize for what I told you, but let's look at the data. Scroll down in the article. I'm telling you, dude, 50.6 of the ear. What? Scroll down. Figure 1, fingerprint. This is where it gets interesting. Figure 1A and Figure 1B. Pressure signature is actually typical. Really, at first glance, for a high-performance MP5 silencer. Yes. Now, we see some deviations at the peak distal flow, and I'm going to talk about those in a second, because I know some of you are waiting for me to address that. I didn't forget you. Yes, we see some deviations, but this is where, if you just treat your data acquisition system like a sound meter, you completely miss the entire point of how silencers work, and you completely miss how combustion physics work, and you can chase your tail for decades. So stop. Look at the physics. We're going to do it together. Look at Figure 1B, okay? Now, look at Figure 1B, and you can see right away, well, the mob isn't doing what the PTR Vent 2 did at all. Is it? No, it's not. The mob is definitely not doing what the Vent 2 did. Look at okay, so you can flip back and forth. Let's look at another high performance silencer. Look at the Phoenix. Look at the GSL Phoenix report. Click that. I have that open too. I was looking at this earlier. Okay. Look at that. Oh, the mob signature looks a little bit closer to the Phoenix signature in pressure space at first. A little bit closer than it did to the PTR. Why? Well, they should be, but why? Why would the mob at first have more in common with the Phoenix than the Vent 2? In the taxonomy, if you had to gun to your head, a Phoenix is more similar to a mob than a Vent 2 is to either one of them. Gun ahead, dude. I'll leave that as an exercise you can perform on your own time, but to explain this in a succinct way and to show you where the big differences are here, I want to hop spaces really quick. Okay? Forget about pressure magnitude for a second. Forget about the amplitudes of those. Let's look at how it varies with time. Let's go a step further. Let's explore the time domain in a different space. Let's hop from pressure space to impulse space, where we can understand the full gas momentum transfer potential. Okay, that's in Figure 2. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Figure 2 now. Now, Figure 2A and 2B, you're looking at the same test. You've hopped spaces. You're looking at and you're still in the time domain too, but you're hopped spaces. Now, this is where the magic happens. This is where you get to see what this silencer is doing. Now, notice the ramp. Notice the ramp. It ramps fast, right? Why? Why are you ramping up impulse so quickly? Why? Well, DiVerge is sort of brothers with surge bypass in a way. Similar DNA, maybe different fathers. Doesn't matter. Whoever the baby daddy is, I don't judge. This is a no judgment zone. All I'm saying is that you get a ramp, it's fast, but then you get immediate decay. It's super quick. What is that? That's different. What would cause a ramp with immediate decay? Pressure management that's patient. That's the DiVerge tech. It gets to where it's going, and then it throttles. And that's why it works so good on a subgun. That's right. You don't want to be a gas trap, but you also don't want to be flippant with the controls. Yeah. You want to be you want to be able to recycle like the Sniper 2, but you don't want to be so dramatic and so large and excessive. You want to be able to reduce back pressure in early time like surge bypass, but you really want to kill the game in the free field. You really want to be stealthy, like your life depends on it, right? You're suppressing an MP5, so you want to be quiet, right? So that's DiVerge. Quick ramp, steady throttle. Stay in that pocket. You stay in the pocket for as long as the combustion window dictates. And when you look at the time domain, the mob stays in the pocket. It gets out. and it goes on with its day about as long as you would expect you would need to with 9mm. Really? Right? I mean, when you compare this to the Phoenix and you compare it to the Vent 2, the Vent lets amplitude hum along with higher, like more amplitude for a longer duration. Why is it doing that? Why does a Vent do that with the gas momentum? Excuse me. Continuous lattice venting with a PIP, purposely induced porosity, yes? Now, is it controlled? Yes. Is it as controlled as with the DiVerge technology in the mob? Well, no. No, it's not. It's not possible physically for it to be. And then you look at the ramping time here. You look at the Phoenix. Well, where's that Phoenix review? Phoenix takes longer to ramp. Right? Takes longer to ramp than both of them. Why? Traditional baffles and coaxial space. That's subgun silencer 101. Actually, when you look at the GSL Phoenix, you have a window into the past, and boy, is it just magnificent. Actually, it's magnificent that we have GSL test data. Magnificent that we have Phoenix test data. You don't understand how important it is that we have Article 6.86 on the website. The GSL Phoenix is so important for the pedigree in general. You guys don't understand. It is a Gemtech Mark 9K, and you see that. That's subgun silencer 101, one of the pinnacles of technology at the time. Old school. What you see, that ramp, and how long it takes to ramp the impulse, it's why the Mark 9K is so quiet, but it's also why the back pressure is rate dependent, and why you can never get a Phoenix or a Mark 9K to ever sound like a Vent 2 or a Mob at the ejection port ever, no matter what. Physics will not let you. I do not care what you try to do. It's not going to happen. Okay? It won't happen. So those are the major differences between the Mob and the Vent 2 and the Phoenix. Okay? And I want to give you more comparisons because it's like really important to talk about like context, right? But I want to hit a detour really quick before I give you those, because a couple of PEW Science members picked up on something in this data, and I wanted to address it here for everybody in the podcast. I wanted to wait till the podcast so I can reach the largest audience with it. Okay, it's cool. And I told them I would talk about it, so I want to keep good on that promise. 1 second. I try to keep my promises. You know what I mean? That's why I don't give ETAs, because I won't keep that promise. Now, all right, go to Figure 1A. Go back all the way back up top. Look at shot 3, click it, make it bigger. You see that little spike up front there? It's the red curve. There's a spike, trust. That's a pressure spike. That's right. Cool. Now, that's interesting. Let's dig deeper, shall we? Look at Figure 2A. So close that, go right below it, and go to Figure 2A. Okay. Now look at shot 3 again. Okay. Red curve again. You see it? It doesn't look as pronounced, but it is a little impulse jump at peak flow, right? It's a little, and if you have trouble finding it, it stands out. You can see it's a little after 31 milliseconds in the time domain. Interesting. So I forgot to talk about this one. Sorry. It's actually not that big a deal, but we're going to talk about it now. This little guy is what we call a weird event. Okay, this is a super wild thing, and this is a nerd thing, and the only reason I'm addressing this is because 2 people asked, and here we are. We got some questions about it, and the questions are, what is it? Where did it come from? What does it do? Like, who's its daddy, and what does it do? It's like kindergarten cop. Yeah. So to answer the question, we looked at all the detailed data in this test. We examined another battery of test data we have for the Mob internally as well. We looked at a number of waveforms, not only on this weapon, but some other stuff too. And We did not see it happen in anything else. Like literally the only time this happened was shot 3 in the free field muzzle signature from the mob on this gun. Like, let me qualify this statement. The only time that we have seen this phenomenon measured was in shot 3 in the free field in the muzzle signature from the mob on this gun in this test. Okay. Clear? Thank you. Now, and if you're a PEW Science member, you can look at this. It doesn't show up in the shooter's ear data in shot 3 on the test. Nope. Literally only in the muzzle signature. It was picked up in the free field. Let me verify. Let me just double check something. Yeah. Yeah, this is not a even operator apparent. Now we're getting somewhere interesting. You really start to think, oh my goodness, weird. Okay, let's keep going. What is it? Well, there are several things that lead us to believe it is most likely combustion driven, okay, and most likely not test driven. What does that mean? It means it's not the test setup. It's not the weapon or like an artifact. It's not numerical. It's not electrical. It's not computational. We do believe it to be a pure combustion-driven phenomenon. Now, that's important. Furthermore, we also believe it to be anomalous. So all of those things, plus we think it's anomalous. And so what I mean by that is it's something that is outside the normal realm of occurrence with this system, and we postulate it to be a low probability event. Now, we're basing all of this on the amount of shots we put through the silencer, the wave shape of the pressure pulse, the resulting impulse decay. And remember, guys, this is all tied together. It's like a package deal. The pressure spike, yes, the pressure spike is relatively high amplitude, but the duration is incredibly short. And so the combustion dies so quickly, the impulse accumulation returns to baseline in a matter of microseconds. I mean, that you can see it right there in Figure 2A. Look at Figure 2A, guys. The combustion goes to baseline right away. Like right away. Okay, I'm going to click and make it bigger. Just make sure I'm looking at the right color. Yeah, that's the red curve. Yeah, right away. And not only that, not only in shot 3 does the combustion come back to baseline, the flow come back to baseline right away, it's on top of the other shots. Okay. So, you can actually plainly see it in Figure 1A. It's plainly visible. We measure every microsecond with PewSoft so that we can understand a lot of stuff. And this is one of those things. This is an example of why PEW Science uses PewSoft. We use it so we can tell you with confidence that this is a short duration combustion anomaly. We have the wave shape. Look, guys, when you get above a certain sample rate, you can reproduce wave shapes very accurately within the resolution of combustion in this time regime that we would need to understand. Get it? Cool. You can't go backward. You can't like go too slow and go and get more information. You have to go as fast as really fast, and then if you want to, dumb it down later, you can. But it's good to get all the information first. that's like one of the the tenets of data acquisition. Okay, so I just explained to you the technical physics and math part about what we think. Okay, now remember, this was asked by 2 PEW Science members, so you wanted the answer. Okay. Now let's get to the practical part. 1 second. Let's answer the question, what is it? What the heck is it? What caused it? Okay, so that's the part we don't know. Now, we have 2 guesses based on everything I just told you. First guess, unburnt powder residue at the end cap. It's collected during the test trials. And I can tell you this, we received 1 end cap from CAT. we have multiple mob variants. We had to switch the NCAP back and forth during testing to test each variant. I do not know if you are a subgun person or not, you listening, but if you are, unburnt powder will collect in the silencer. And due to the way the mob is designed, some of that's going to end up at the NCAP eventually. Yeah, I promise, dude. So it is possible. I don't know if that's what happened. I think I do remember seeing granules in the NCAP after some trials. So I'm just going back on my memory banks and thinking about it. I do not know if this is what happened, but it is possible that something burned. You saw the energy transfer pressure pulse, which I can tell you was a quick shock, and then it dissipated forever as fast as it appeared. And that's what the data showed happened. Okay? So that's the physics of what it showed. It could be, or let me be exact, that is the wave propagation phenomenology that was showed by the data that is consistent with potentially powder propellant igniting at the hottest part of the cycle at peak distal flow where conditions were just right along the boundary layer. Fair? Fair. Okay, fine. Good theory. Makes sense to me. You might agree. Let me know if you don't agree. I'd be really interested to see if all the combustion physicists on the internet forums would like to give a different theory. Okay, cool. Another theory, what if we worked loose a titanium dust particle or group of particles, a cluster of particles with high surface area? What if we did that? And they burned in free air. I mean, it could happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility in any way, and that's why that hypothesis has not been dismissed. However, so that could happen. However, I didn't see any dust in the silencer, and boy, howdy, did I look! I look at every 3D printed silencer that we get. I borescope. I am terrified of debris. We don't have the time to waste significant amount of funds and resources and manpower of shooting a silencer that can take our gun down during a test. I will say that for the record. Okay? That is not what we're in the business of doing. We're in the business of testing specimens that arrive to our facilities in tip-top condition, frankly. And I inspected it. I did not see any titanium dust. So I do find the titanium particle hypothesis to be lower probability than the unburnt propellant particle hypothesis. Those are the two most likely phenomena that would explain the short-lived impulse accumulation in figure. Let me say this exactly. The two most likely phenomena that would explain the short-lived impulse accumulation of momentum transfer potential in impulse space expressed at approximately 31 milliseconds in figure 2A. Okay? And you should know, in our calculations, that event did not influence bystander or shooter hazard. Okay? We went back and checked. If it did, then okay, fine. The suppression rating is higher than it shows. Because that would never happen. You understand? You understand this? Okay, cool. So I hope that helps all of you that had that question. We got 2 emails. 2. Okay? 2. I'll tell you exactly who they're from. One guy on Reddit who I told to email me when he asked about it publicly, because I really first I wanted to know if is this a real person? I always do that because I'm like, are you even real? Just email me, dude. Let's really talk. And he was. I'm like, awesome. We talked, and I gave him the answer. Okay. The other guy, I think he came from ARFCOM. I don't know. But yeah, there was those 2 guys. I hope they're listening to this. I hope that satisfies it's exactly what I told you, just with longer word, more discussion. It's exactly what I told you publicly, but that's what it is. So I did look too. I don't want to verify this. Just this is full transparency. You want to be transparent? Let's be transparent. Neither one of those 2 individuals has ever emailed us before, ever. I searched our email databases to confirm too. We don't delete emails, so we have a record of every communication we've ever had with anybody. So yeah, I hope those two gentlemen found the customer service experience from PEW Science to be exemplary. We are batting 1 for 1 with both of you, and so we thank you for your support, and we thank you for your significant interest in our research, and we hope that it helps you from years to come. And please reach out anytime that you have any questions. We hope that we responded immediately to you, so we hope that, if you've been trying to reach us, that's the way to do it, and that's why you got a response immediately. Okay. So, and that was, believe me, it's like one of those things where you better show your work, right? So yeah, we did. Now that we've addressed that little spike and helped people learn about the time domain and how combustion works and doesn't work, let's talk about the primary differences between PIP and diverge. Okay. I mean, look, we're over 2 hours in. I am doing my due diligence with this silencer for you. So, no matter what, people are going to compare the PTR Vent 2 to the CAT Mob, and they should, because the two silencers represent the absolute pinnacle of performance on the MP5. Full stop, that we've seen in the current data set, right? In the current data set, those two silencers represent the pinnacle of performance. And it's not close. The Vent 2 and the Mob are battling for all the marbles, and the Mob has beat the Vent 2. Like, there's the Vent 2 and the Mob, and then there's everything else right now. And let's look at how. It's important. Look, what happens when we started this effort? We wanted to find the highest performance potential because it's awesome. Let's find it. Now, I wrote this in the article. If you haven't read it, it's Research Note 2. Scroll down. I'm just as tired as you, believe me. Scroll down, Research Note 2. There's two things that highlight the difference in physics between the two technologies, okay? And this is very technical, but let's talk about it. You at home can understand this by looking at the data. You can break out your physics textbooks to take a trip down memory lane. You can grab my hand, we'll go through it together. You can do it, okay? Let's do it. All of you know by now that heat transfer is a significant suppression mechanism in silencers, yes? Yes. You also know that ramping up the efficiency of that mechanism has to be done very quickly due to the time regime in which you are able to operate. Yes? Okay. Gunshots are quick. Yes? Okay, cool. So the guy who can employ the most efficient heat transfer in the shortest amount of time and do it for the longest duration during that time is going to probably win in general, all other things equal. Yes? Okay, cool. These are easy questions. This is not subjective. This is not proprietary. It is not a shill statement. It's not paid off. It's not extortion. It's not a shakedown. It's none of that. None of those like buzzword, derogatory, false, defaming, slanderous things that people on internet forums are saying about this research. It's none of that. This is, in fact, physics governed by the physical laws of the universe in which you reside. And if you don't want to believe physics because the data and analysis we publish makes you cry at night, then this isn't for you. Okay? So all of us adults in the room, we all agree that heat transfer efficiency in the time regime in which it occurs is pretty important. Okay. PTR figured that out. They actually figured that out in a way that kind of sucks. Really. I mean, this is my opinion. This is not their opinion. This is my opinion. How do I know that? Why would I say something like that? Well, it's not like their silencers are just filled with metal foam, dude. That's not what the PTR Vent 2 has. If you've never seen the inside of a Vent 2 or if you never read our articles about a Vent 2, they have conventional baffles in them as well. Oh, that's right. Why? Well, in addition to the fact you need to remove expanding combustion gases from the boreline, there also exists a physical reality that'll grab a hold of your ankles when you get out of bed. 9mm is small. It's weak. And guess what? It's a short story that even an illiterate person can read if they sound out the letters, dude. Combustion regime is short duration and the pressure drops fast. Lickety split. Pistol cartridges do that. Subsonic 300 Blackout does the same thing. It's the same song, different verse, dude. This is sub-gun town, USA, population U. Once your pressure dissipates and all that heat transfer efficiency you were getting with the PIP, with the PTR silencer drops, once you drop that heat transfer efficiency, you're back to conventional baffle town. You're back. It pulls you back in. It still works. It's still quiet, dude, but it's game over. You had like a little power up in the video game, but it went away. Like Super Mario when you get the mushroom, it like runs out. Like you get the mushroom, and it like makes you big Mario. It makes you Super Mario when you get the mushroom, right? But then you get hit by like a flower or a Goomba or whatever, and like then it shrinks. You go back to normal Mario. It's like that. It's just in the combustion time regime. So the DiVerge technology and the CAT mob, it has extra mushrooms. Well, no. It's not like it has extra mushrooms. It has like another life. Oh, yeah, it's like that. It has like another life where you can repeat the level. So there's a cat joke in there. It's like he had 9 lives. No, I didn't mean that. But no, it keeps on ticking. Like to get more complicated physically, it doesn't have a cycle change. There's not a mechanism there's not a mechanism that has to be relied upon further through the combustion blowdown cycle that trips over. It doesn't have to trip. Like the DiVerge technology is just what it's doing from start to finish in a way. Does that make sense? So it's like, okay, I'm trying to do that without like drawing the picture of the inside of the silencer and like showing you like the underexpanded flow phenomena. Like I don't. So that's one. So that's one thing. You understand? Like it's like you don't have to switch, not switch boundary conditions. You don't have to switch mechanisms for highest efficiency in the continuum with a mob as you do with the Vent 2. Okay, that for all you physicists, that's like the proper way to say that. Now, that's one difference between the two silencers. What's the other major difference between CAT DiVerge technology and the PTR PIP technology that's in research note 2 of the article? Because there's in research note 2 of the article, I'll give you two of these differences. I just explained number 1 in research note 2. Now I'm going to explain number 2 in research note 2. It's back pressure. That's the difference. And they both reduce back pressure. That's not the difference. The difference is the mechanism. So if both reduce the back pressure, you got to think about how. Well, we know this. They're both early time flow rate dependent back pressure reduction mechanisms. The PIP system vents through the lattice. Yes, it's great. What happens when underexpanded supersonic flow from a gun barrel, and keep in mind, this is still supersonic flow, despite being a subsonic round, the gas is moving faster than the bullet, okay? When it gets out of the muzzle. What happens with these gases? They expand and cool. As they expand and cool in the lattice, what happens? The lattice heats. You then saturate in the thermal profile. Localized, in reality, within the time regime of interest. You can keep pumping in gas and you can keep expanding, but where you are going is defined, predetermined. You're going into the lattice. What are you doing? You're heating the lattice. Are you rerouting? Well, no, you're heating the lattice. What are you doing? You're heating the lattice. What if I don't know, you didn't do that? What if you instead shuttled the expansion away and kept doing it and then controlled its propagation through multiple stage reducer arrays instead of just like heating the lattice up? You'd have DiVerge. Yeah, okay. That's right. That's the CAT mob. Yeah, okay. That's what research note 2 says in different words. Okay. So listen to that. Go read it again. I think you'll understand it. Okay. It's like you can't just pump high pressure gas into a matrix, and then keep doing it and expect the efficiency to remain the same. I'm sorry. I mean, you can do it for a little bit, within each shot's time regime, but it's not going to be continuous in the way that you want it to be. And if it was, you wouldn't even need baffles in the vent 2. You just use the lattice. I'm saying something that all the designers understand, and I'm saying and it's not negative about the PTR silencer. I'm saying it in a way to explain to you guys why you are seeing different suppression ratings on these systems. Full stop. I'm walking you through the entire combustion chain, the propagation chain, the entire continuum, and all we're doing is all we did was collect mil standard test data. It's all about knowing what you're looking at, okay? So the CAT mob performs because it's suppressing a system efficiently, and the efficiency is continuous and scalable. Yes, this is scalable technology, just like surge bypass and Sniper2. DiVerge is the third technology we've seen from CAT, and it's scalable. I'm not talking about in size. I'm talking about in application, in pressure, and suppression cycle, okay? The combustion propagation phenomenology is scalable under different initial conditions. That is the theme of CAT's Skynet design vectors. That's what they're doing. If you're looking at what they're doing and you're following this and you're a physicist and you're following this, because I know some of you are, initial condition agnostic performance is what you're seeing. These are the most complex silencers we've ever tested, dude. And apparently they work. That's bottom line, really. Look, I know this is getting long. We're going to keep going. I have more to say, and it's not going to be too much longer. 1 second. My God, this is going to be the longest podcast I've ever done. It might be. Oh my God. What are the practical implications for the shooter? Because really, you need to talk about that in the context of the mob. This is the point of the podcast where I realized I should have split this up into 2 episodes, but I didn't have time. I have to do something else for you next week that's going to take way more time. So it's like, okay. God. It's like those videos on the internet where it's like, this is this moment that he realized he messed up. Yeah. What are the practical implications for the shooter of all these physics we've been talking about? The implications are that the back pressure reduction works very well, and it's lowering the ejection port blast extremely well, which is great. You all want that on a reciprocating system. And the muzzle suppression with a CAT mob is so good that the blast load propagation to the shooter from the end cap is also significantly reduced. So those two things together are awesome. That's good news for everybody. And now you get that with the PTR vent 2 as well. But the CAT mob is on another level. And the interesting part that we're all still studying is that the CAT mob is doing it in a way that makes the action noise less severe. And it really means that technically there's kinematics happening in the unlocking of the roller delayed system that are changing, and they're so minute. And I honestly don't know that you could even measure them except in the test data we have, or if you had a cutaway of the MP5, because you couldn't do it. You can't do it with high speed camera. I don't think. I really do think you would need a translucent MP5 receiver to do it. And I know that they have rears of them that do that, but I don't know if you have the trunnion part. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I'm talking the weapons developers. This is what they do. Look. What I believe to be happening, the mob is letting the MP5 be itself in more than just function. It's actually allowing it to unlock happen in a more graceful way, a less impulsive way. Members can see it in the data. It's measured at the shooter's ear. It's right there. It's actually scary when you look at it. We haven't seen it happen before. It's not normal. Okay, and that's a member thing. If you're a member, go look at it. It blew my mind. Fine. Let's look at some comparisons before we run out of gas, guys. Look at Figure 5 in the article. Here you see the gravity. I know some people don't like the graphs, but I do, because it's like boils all this down in a little package for you. This is what like MP5 lovers are craving, dude. Like this is what I'm craving. Like if I'm an MP5 guy, dude, I want to know. Riddle me this. I want to know, what are the limits of muzzle-mounted suppressed setups for MP5? Yes, you can get an MP5 SD. Okay, everyone acknowledges those are gorgeous and they're pretty and they sound cool. But MP5 SD, the barrel's ported to reduce projectile velocity. Okay. Gas trap does work in that silencer, the SD silencer. I have one. The sonic disturbance is reduced due to the lower velocity as well. The pressure wave is reduced in the amplitude, yes. Until we test the MP5 SD, I am honestly not as impressed with those physics as I am with some silencers on this chart on the standard MP5, because the standard MP5 is more flexible, has higher velocity when needed. Frankly, it's easier to clean, easier to deal with. MP5 SD is still cool, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But the standard MP5 with a silencer on the muzzle can be amazing. And this data in multiple tests of multiple silencers shows that can be true. So look at the chart. Look at figure 5, guys. CAT Mob, 65.1 at the muzzle, highest of the group. Okay, 50.6 at the ear, highest of the group. Okay. Nuts, dude. It's jump. It's a jump. It's half a category difference between RS9 and Vent 2 going to the mob at the ear, right? Shooter's ear, right? Is that? No, it's more than half a category. RS9 is 42.5. Yeah. It's more than half. That's nuts. And the muzzle suppression of the CAT Mob compared with everything except the Vent 2 and the Phoenix. Different sport. It's quieter in the Vent 2 and the Phoenix. Yeah. But look at the other silencers. Like the muzzle suppression of the CAT Mob and the Vent 2 and the Phoenix, pretty close. I mean, the Vent 2 and the Phoenix, for all intents and purposes, are the same. CAT Mob's a little higher, okay. But then look at the muzzle suppression of like the other silencers. Dude, you're 20 points higher than the Huxworth Catch 9K at the muzzle. 45.3 compared with 65.1. Okay, so almost 20 points. Dude, what? Two categories in suppression rating? That's not the same planet. That's crazy. Like, okay. So can we end with that? Yeah, okay, that's the long and short of it. Look at the numbers. Okay? This is a very technical podcast. I tried my best to use very simple analogies to explain compressible flow theory and combustion phenomenology. I had 3 jobs. I needed to thank you all for 4 years of this public effort. I needed to explain the 2 recently published technical articles to you, and I needed to explain 2 completely new silencer technologies. Completely new. No one's ever seen them. And that's a lot of stuff. And it took me 2.5 hours. And I hope I did it justice. And thanks again to all of you. I know these podcasts can get long. I see no other way to teach you about how all this stuff works in a large group and thousands of people at once. I see no other way but to do it this way. I do hope it helps you. Please email me with questions. I will be happy to answer anything you ask me. Okay? May your silencers be quiet and your wait time short. Please stay safe. Take care. I will be back next week with more data and analysis. I will talk with you folks again soon, okay? All right, bye.